Joining me now, Daniel Turner, Power of the Future Executive Director. Daniel, always great to see you. Gas Buddy's saying we're going to hit a $5 average by June 17th. That is quicker, I will say, than I was expecting.
Yeah, and actually Goldman Sachs even was saying earlier last week that they think it will hit $6 a gallon by August. And quite frankly, all this is predictable. I mean, I talk to you often, and I love being on your program, but we're always saying the same thing. Until we produce more oil domestically, prices are going to continue to either stable at a very high point or get worse. We have a supply problem. The president talks about, I will do whatever I can to lower prices. I will work with Saudi Arabia. I'll buy oil from Venezuela. He has all these other ideas to increase supply, but he will not increase domestic production. And until that happens, nothing is going to change.
And here's how I see it, Dan. I want to sort of put this out there and see what you think. 13 million barrels a day. That's what we were producing right before the pandemic, March of 2020, and that was a peak. We dropped down to the 9 range because of everything that happened. But U.S. producers are now back up to 11.9 million. There have been more than 200 rigs that have come online in this country over the course of the last year. So when this administration says that big oil and gas isn't doing enough to try to help offset this, they are pumping. They're pumping a lot more than I thought they would be, given the fact that this administration essentially took a shotgun out on day one and said, we're going to try to exterminate you. Your thoughts on that? I know we could be doing 15 or 16 million. They're not investing in that, but they're still trying to help, do their best.
Well, absolutely. I think the industry wants to produce as much as possible, especially at this high price point. Investors are scared off because of the administration's ongoing punishment of fossil fuel investment, but also production of, let's just say pumping is the first stage, right? Now you have the midstreams, which is pipelines. Look at organizations like FERC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. Chairman Glick has launched a war on pipelines. This administration has launched a war on pipelines. So even if you produce oil and gas, you still have to somehow transport it to the next stage of refinement, and that part of the industry is also under attack. So again, this is a very complicated process, and every single component from financing to production to midstream to downstream is under assault.
This is an interesting phenomenon, a point that Grady made, which essentially he referred to OPEC plus. And for people who don't know, it used to be OPEC for the longest time. And then they added the plus, and essentially the plus was added because Russia was working with them to sort of organize and set deals on output, right? So if Saudi Arabia is saying, you know, maybe we will pump more, and it seems like there's almost a conversation being had about getting the plus out of the OPEC, right? Just pushing out Russia out of the picture altogether, maybe, and trying to make up for some of the disruption that we've seen. But even if you do that, then you still put us in a position where we're relying on a cartel to supply us oil instead of pumping it here.
Absolutely. And OPEC plus, however you want to brand them, they were started back in 1970 for the sole purpose of being a hedge against the United States' oil and gas dominance, right? The whole purpose of OPEC is to compete with America. So this idea that somehow OPEC wants to work with us to alleviate problems, to make the situation better, OPEC never wants to be our friend. So let's remember that OPEC plus, regardless of Russia's role, is not our ally.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and neither is Venezuela, but these are the places that the president is seeking solace, if you will, when it comes to oil production. So we shall see what happens. We know right now 462, the national average, is killing people, and it is expected to go up from there. Daniel, always great to see you. Thank you.
Thanks, Jackie.